Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of our witnesses. Ms. Burdick, I want to come to you. Now, your company is called Schurz, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And you own broadcast TV stations
Yes.
and radio stations?
Yes.
Okay. Do you require compensation for the retrans of your broadcast TV stations?
Yes.
Okay. And compensation for the copyright of original content that you produce?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Does Schurz compensate the copyright holders of content it uses for its broadcast TV stations?
I think you're asking, as you did last time I was here, about radio and the compensation of radio
I'm
artists?
asking for a yes or no.
Yeah. Ask the question again, if you wouldn't mind.
Do you compensate the copyright holders of content it uses for broadcast on your TV stations? Okay. Do you pay a performance right for the music that you broadcast over your radio stations?
We pay ASCAP and BMI and CSAT.
It's not the question that I ask you. The answer is no. Ms. Burdick?
That's correct.
That's correct. You're
Yeah,
right.
The answer is no. That's
no.
correct. You're right.
And if you can provide a constitutional justification for that inconsistency, God bless your heart. Because I have to tell you, there is not one. And it is intellectually inconsistent. And I think that you are fully aware of that. Okay, in your testimony, you state that retrans consent negotiations are free market negotiations, and that the major network broadcast content is the most sought after and valuable content today. You then go on to advocate for our nation's 22-year-old regulatory structure dictating the terms of these negotiations. So how is it possible that, in fact, free market negotiations, as you say, if we live under a regulatory structure that dictates to one party details like where your stations must appear on the cable lineup?
Thank you for the questions. I appreciate your passion on some of these issues. I guess I would look back in researching this, and I went back into history. The first report and order of the FCC on what was then cable antenna television said one important thing that is carried through and Congress has supported in every iteration of its action, and that is that CATV should carry local stations because it supplements, not replaces, local stations, and non-carriage is inherently contrary to the public interest. For all of the things that we've talked about, the floods in your district this year, internet didn't make up for the service that local broadcasters provide. We provide an inherent and important public service that is not replicated anywhere.
Well, no one is arguing about the public service. What I'm asking you is about free market negotiations. And you say you own the most valuable and sought after content. Then why do you need this archaic regulatory structure? Wouldn't a pay TV provider negotiate to place your content on their basic tier if it is indeed the most sought after programming?
Yeah, and I guess I didn't make my point clearly, but the point is that when the basic tier requirement was enacted, it was because Congress thought it important to preserve the values of localism and to require that local televisions be seen by all consumers and placed on that basic tier, and we believe that today.
Well, I admire that you are desiring to move to parity and deregulation and work toward that, and I know you're going to continue along that vein. Let me ask you this. In your opinion, would true regulatory parity in the video marketplace allow you the freedom to negotiate like non-broadcast owners?
You know, we have said in the context of this bill that we would embrace a wholesale view of the ownership and the deregulatory and regulatory versus deregulatory issues that affect the video marketplace. Unfortunately, most of the things that we have been discussing only benefit one side of the table, not the other. And so that's why we support a holistic review of the ownership rules and the rules under which we operate today.
Can you envision a world in which you're treated like a cable company?
You know, I guess I'll go to Jay Carney's line of the last couple of days. I'm always hesitant to predict the future.
All right, fair enough. I yield back.